And for more on this in studio, we've got SABC News International editor Sophie Mokoena joining us live now. Sophie, a largest BRICS Summit, and security is likely to be a huge issue. All eyes on South Africa. Will the security cluster be able to live up to this task?
I think they will. You know that South Africa has previously had this kind of conferences, and large ones. If you take 2001, the racism conference in Durban, where you had many leaders from different parts of the world. When you look at 2002, the World Summit on Sustainable Development, who can forget President Mugabe and the British Prime Minister Tony Blair and many others being there. You also remember that the AU, when it was launched in Durban in 2002, you had all heads of state and government from the continent attending, and also important guests. And therefore, I think South Africa will be able to deliver in terms of security and infrastructure. Secondly, you'd remember the Commonwealth. We've had two big conferences in relation to Commonwealth, and you know that Commonwealth member countries, you have many heads of state and government coming to South Africa. We had Commonwealth conferences twice in this country, and therefore I think they will be able to deal with the challenges. You would recall that when the late former President Mandela passed on, the memorial service, we had many leaders converging at FNB Stadium, including the President of the United States of America, accompanied by former presidents Bush and also Clinton, and therefore South Africa was able to deal with the numbers. And I think this is a moment for South Africa to remind the world that South Africa is part of the international community, and South Africa will continue to be an important player and a voice around the world. And I think President Ramaphosa is doing everything that he can to ensure that this BRICS Summit is a success. When I spoke to the officials yesterday at Derco, they told me that he is getting briefings all the time, and he is really hands-on on this matter. When he's back from Angola, I think later tonight, tomorrow is back to business in terms of ensuring that everything goes according to plan.
Now, the summit, of course, located at the economic hub of Johannesburg. How will this affect, in fact, the movement, particularly of the people who are working in the Sandton area?
Well, during the briefing this morning, they pointed out at areas or the roads that they think will not be accessible. And I think towards the summit, more information is going to be communicated by the relevant structures to ensure that those who work in the precinct are fully aware in terms of the do's and don'ts. But secondly, what we have learned is that in terms of accommodation, to ensure that you don't have this challenge of movement, they have tried to ensure that the accommodation of the heads of state and government is an area or different areas that won't disrupt, or where you are not going to experience disruption. They are not too far to ensure that you don't have this traffic nightmare.
Now, in situations like these, of course, those who are tasked with, security of their respective leaders also have their own plans. And I wonder, is there synergy between them and the host country?
That's exactly what happens. Even before they arrive in the country, there is communication, because it depends on the risk assessment or analysis, because as you know that different leaders, you have different situations around them, and therefore you must communicate and engage. But at the end of the day, it is the responsibility of South Africa to ensure that they are safe and security around them. But of course, you will take into consideration the needs and the demands as per country by country.
And it's going to be interesting as we continue to bring you a blow-by-blow of this particular story. SABC International News editor Sophie Mokoena.